Hello everyone. In this video, we will be discussing about the persistent volumes. In one of the previous video, we discussed in detail what are the persistent volumes and how persistent volumes, claim and the pods are interlinked. In this video, we will be seeing this with the practical examples. So I will still revisit what is the persistent volume claim and pod. So what we had discussed earlier is there is a persistent volume, there is a storage attached with that. So persistent volume claim, it acts as a bridge between the pods and persistent volumes, and one persistent volume we can attach with the multiple pods. And we also have discussed about how the pods are using the persistent volumes. So the way it is using is, first we need to define the persistent volume, where we define the storage details and also from where this where on the host file or where in the file system or cloud it is defined. And then we have to create the persistent volume claim. This persistent volume claim will have a detail about the persistent volumes, and we also can define how much the storage can be requested. Now this persistent volume claim has to be attached with the pod, and the pod is using this persistent volume. So this is how everything is getting interlinked. So let us try to see this with the example. So to define or to use this persistent volume subsystem, we have to create a persistent volume object and persistent volume claim object. So the way that we can create is we have to, again, the way we were using in the creating the deployment object and also the service object. Similarly, you have to define the API version and also the kind. In this case, the kind is persistent volumes. Again, we have to give the name to the persistent volume. We have given the name as host PV because we are going to create the host persistent volumes. Then we need to define the specs. Inside this one, we have to define details like how much the capacity, what type of the storage class we are going to use, what is the type of the mode that we are using, and all those details, and also where exactly is residing my persistent volumes. There are also the CSI drivers available for cloud service providers, where you can, instead of the providing the host path, you can provide a cloud service, cloud storage details. In our case, we are using a host path. That host path, that is the path that is defined on the computer. I am using the Windows computer, so here it is defined. My persistent volume is defined at D drive, Docker volume, and K8S folder. Here I am going to use, I can use the directory or create. I already have that directory created, so I can just use directory, type as a directory. Now this way I have created a persistent volumes. Similarly, I have to create the persistent volume claim. This persistent volume claim has to be attached with a pod. So the way we define the persistent volume claim is similar to the persistent volumes. We define the API version, kind, and also the metadata name. In this case, we have defined the name as host PVC. Then we define the specs. Inside the specs, we have to tell which persistent volume we are going to use. So this is the same name we have used in the persistent volume. Then again we can provide a access mode, but this access mode cannot be overriding these. So if it is only read only, we cannot have the read write. Here if we have the read write, we can have only the read only. So the lower the access mode is allowed, but the overriding the access mode is not allowed. Here we have defined the storage as 1 GB, but here in the persistent volume claim we can define the lower storage. In this case we have defined 500 MB, and again the persistent volume claim cannot be higher than the persistent volume. Now we have defined PV and PVC. The details of the PVC needs to be added with the pod in the deployment objects. So it is very similar to the way we had done for the host path. If you look at the host path, we have defined the volume detail and then we mount that volume inside the container. Similar to that one, what we have to define the details of the volume. In this case, we have to define the persistent volume claim type, and the claim name is whatever we have defined into the PVC. The claim name is PVC, a host PVC. The same name we are using here. Once we define the volumes, these volumes needs to be added with the pod. So here is the same way, the way we had defined it earlier with the host path. Same way we have to use here the mount path. This is the internal path of the Docker file that we have used. So this is apps config. The same name we are using here inside the volume mount and volume mount path, and the name of the persistent volume claim that we are going to use here. The volume, what is the name of the volume? Is config volume. So this we have used here. Now we are ready to demonstrate how everything is working together. Here what we have done is we have defined the PV and PVC in the same file. So with the apply command, kubectl apply command, we can run kubectl apply -m and the file name K8S PV PVC, K8S PV PVC, and kubectl. So this will create a host PV and host PVC. You can check get PV, so 1 GB is assigned and this is going to be bound and default claim that is assigned to that, and we can see PVC as well. So this is, we got the PVC detail as well, and the volume that is attached with that is a PV. Now the PV and PVC are created. We also can start our application with the apply command, and then we have to use the file name that we have used for creating deployment and service object. So in this case we run this application kubectl. Yes, so now the applications has started. I can check it, kubectl get pods, and I should be able to see one running pod, right? Now what we can do is we can go back into the Postman and we can verify the application started. Okay, so I can fetch a different configurations. I should be able to fetch all the configurations that we have defined, and these configurations are coming not from inside the pod, but it is coming from outside the host path. If we try to delete the PV and PVC, that for that -f PV K8S PV PVC, it may not be able to delete it because persistent volume deleted. See, it is trying to delete it, but it may not be able to delete because you already have assigned this and it is attached with a pod. So it is trying to delete but not able to delete it because it is already attached with the pod, right? So it is terminating but not able to terminate. Okay, the reason that it is not able to terminate is because our application is still running, and as soon as we stop this application as well, we should be able to see that get PVC kubectl. It is still terminating, and it is not able to terminate because we have already attached a pod with this. So if now I terminate my deployment object kubectl, sorry, I keep on forgetting, -f. So now my deployment object and service objects both got deleted. If I try to check it now, it's deleted. So see how it is not allowing it to delete the PVC and PV until my pod got terminated. So this is how the persistent volume subsystem can be used in the Kubernetes pod. And thank you for watching this video. Hope you like the series, and I will be creating more videos on the Kubernetes with Docker and Kubernetes networks, and how to use the Docker and how to use the Kubernetes Helm chart. All those things are coming in a future videos. So please stay tuned. Thank you very much.